This is very much a developing, real-world story unfolding right now, not a historical event. Here is a comprehensive, detailed account based on the latest reporting. Iran strikes near Israel's nuclear research center. The full story. Background: a region spiraling toward war. The road to today's strikes began years earlier. After the broader Middle Eastern crisis erupted in 2023, Iran and Israel exchanged missile strikes in 2024, and then Israel and the U.S. launched a coordinated air campaign against Iran in what became known as the 12-Day War in June 2025, which included American airstrikes aimed directly at destroying Iran's nuclear facilities. That conflict set back Iran's nuclear program, but did not end it. The U.S. Department of Defense estimated Iran's nuclear program had been set back by only about 2 years by those June 2025 strikes. Iran quietly began rebuilding. The nuclear negotiations that collapsed. In early 2026, a fragile diplomatic track appeared to offer hope. On February 6, 2026, Iran and the U.S. held indirect nuclear negotiations in Oman's capital, Muscat. Just before the strikes began on February 27, Oman's foreign minister, Badr al-Busaidi, announced that a breakthrough had been reached. Iran had agreed both to never stockpile enriched uranium and to full verification by the IAEA. He said peace was within reach and that a second round of talks was scheduled. Then everything collapsed. The surprise U.S.-Israeli attack killed Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, and other Iranian officials, even in the midst of those nuclear negotiations. After the attack, Oman's foreign minister said he was dismayed and that active and serious negotiations had been fatally undermined. The war begins. February 28, 2026. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated joint missile attacks hitting multiple locations across Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump stated the attacks were part of an effort to instigate regime change and to terminate Iran's nuclear program. Since that date, Iran's top leaders have been killed in airstrikes, and the country's military capabilities have been severely degraded. Iran is now led by the son of the supreme leader killed in the war's opening salvo, yet remains capable of sustained missile and drone attacks. The strike on Natanz, Iran's nuclear heart. On Saturday, March 21, 2026, the fourth week of the war, the United States and Israel struck Iran's Natanz nuclear facility, one of the country's most important uranium enrichment sites, located about 220 kilometers southeast of Tehran. Iran's Atomic Energy Organization confirmed the attack, though it stated there was no leakage of radioactive materials at the Shahid Ahmadi Roshan enrichment facility. This was not Natanz's first strike. The facility had already been struck by Israeli airstrikes during the 12-Day War in June 2025, and later that month by the U.S. as well. The IAEA has said the bulk of Iran's estimated 970 pounds of highly enriched uranium is now elsewhere, beneath the rubble at its Isfahan facility, which was also bombed by the U.S. last June. Iran's Al Jazeera correspondent in Tehran noted that the attack was expected, as destroying Iran's nuclear capability had been one of Trump's stated goals. He warned that the strike could signal the possibility of further attacks, and noted Tehran currently had around 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium. Iran retaliates, Dimona and Arad. Iran's response was swift and symbolically devastating. Iranian state television framed the strikes on Israel as a direct response to the Natanz attack, marking a stark new phase of tit-for-tat nuclear targeting, the most dangerous escalation since the war began. Iran targeted Dimona, the home of Israel's own nuclear secrets. The desert city of Dimona is home to Israel's principal nuclear research center, which opened in 1958. Israel has neither confirmed nor denied the widely held belief that it possesses nuclear weapons. Dimona has been at the heart of Israel's nuclear program since its research center was built in secret with French assistance. Iran struck two communities near the research center late Saturday, Dimona and Arad, and Israel's military said it was not able to intercept the missiles that hit both cities. Israeli firefighters confirmed that in both Dimona and Arad, interceptors were launched that failed to hit the threats, resulting in two direct hits by ballistic missiles with warheads weighing hundreds of kilograms. At least 180 people were wounded across the two cities. In Arad alone, at least 116 people were wounded, including 7 seriously, with extensive damage reported in the city center. Rescue workers reported a large crater next to apartment buildings with outer walls sheared away, with widespread damage across at least 10 apartment buildings, 3 of them badly damaged and in danger of collapsing. Israel's defense fails, a psychological blow. The fact that Iran penetrated Israel's layered defenses around Dimona sent shockwaves. Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf said on X, if the Israeli regime is unable to intercept missiles in the heavily protected Dimona area, it is operationally a sign of entering a new phase of the battle. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said this is a very difficult evening, adding that more emergency resources were rushing to the scene. The IAEA stated it had received no indication of damage to the nuclear research center Negev and that no abnormal radiation levels were detected, meaning the reactor itself was not hit. The broader war picture. The Dimona-Natanz exchange is just one chapter in a much larger conflict. Among the Iranian energy facilities hit in recent days was the Bushehr nuclear power plant complex, though the IAEA said there were no injuries and no damage to the plant. Israel also struck South Pars, the Iranian portion of the world's largest gas field, shared with Qatar. By the 10th day of the war, Iranian missile and drone attacks had dropped by more than 90%, credited to effective suppression of Iranian launcher infrastructure by joint U.S.-Israeli operations. However, Iran has also fired cluster munitions, weapons banned by more than 100 nations, at Israeli residential areas. U.S. Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of U.S. Central Command, stated the U.S. had struck over 8,000 military targets across Iran, and that Iran's combat capability is on a steady decline. Where things stand today. As of today, March 22, 2026, the war is in its 4th week and has entered its most dangerous nuclear symbolic phase yet. Both sides have now directly targeted facilities linked to each other's nuclear programs. The IAEA is monitoring both sites. Global energy markets are rattled. The Trump administration has been strategizing methods and options to secure or extract Iran's nuclear materials, while Iran, though severely degraded, continues to demonstrate the capability to reach deep into Israeli territory, even past its most heavily defended zones.